Greetings and welcome to episode 288 and a half of the Words About Games podcast. The weekly news podcast for Words About Games. I'm your host, Amy K. Alexander. I'm joined today by Daff and Moody.
True champ is here.
Still
The
doing
true
that.
champ
Still
is
doing
here.
it, silly.
The champ is here. Amy, wait until I buy something on Saturday.
Wait until I buy the giant inflatable hammer and beat the shit out of you in a toy shop. That'll be going on my Instagram.
That's a reel. That's a TikTok. That's a YouTube
reel.
short waiting to happen.
It'll be Sophia, could you just hold this camera and point it at Moody?
What? She would go along with it. All you'll hear on Saturday night news. A man has been bludgeoned to death by a toy. Why she murdered this man is still unknown. But all we hear in the background is "Damn you, Moody!"
Who's the 3-star champ now, Moody?
Quotes. And she said, "Fuck off."
We're also joined by the amazing Joe Medfoss.
I decided to somewhat step it up. The beans are still here. Can't ever fall away from the guys. But thank you so much for having me for this extra special emergency broadcast.
Emergency podcast is what I've been
because
calling
video games.
Emergency podcast that we waited 2 days to do for this news that came out. Because we are crazy people who, of all the other content creators, because we're not a content, we are industry observers, Amy, aren't we? That's what we are.
We
take our time to talk about this shit.
you don't create content. You make art. That's the difference.
We're industry observers who make art. Everybody's coming at us with like this cool shit that we can call ourselves in 2022.
That's another thing I have to add to my Twitter bio. Industry observer who creates art.
Yes.
With Amy.
I have a new cup, and I want you to appreciate that it's full of water.
I would like to see.
Not sugar. I don't actually like Friends, but I got it for what it says.
Could anyone be more thirsty?
Could I be any more thirsty? That's so good.
It's on brand for me.
Especially with some of the things we talk about sometimes. Just watch the Fantasy Critics predictions picks, ladies and gentlemen, on the last episode.
You best watch it.
Oh, there was some thirstiness.
The visual of a Lady Dimitrescu body pillow wasn't there, but there's a lot of talk about it. Let's just say that much. No one can escape.
A sex on boots mom. Lady, seriously. There's a lot of filth.
Speaking of filth, right? What are we here to talk about?
Oh, the
segue.
Damn!
Yeah, so episode 288.5, because this Sunday me and Moody are doing our Game of the Year podcast where we talk about all of our favorite games from 2021, and it was like, nothing's going to change that. No, there can be no news that can be bigger than us talking about our Game of the Year 2021.
We scream from the tops, you shall not pass.
Like, it doesn't matter what happens. Something got passed.
Something pushed us off on that little bridge. Just barged right past us.
Fucking Balrog came charging at us. It was just like, oh, shit. What happened?
Microsoft bought Activision.
Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, the company we've probably spent the longest talking about in 2021.
Yeah. Bitching about, evens 50-50, I think. Threatening, yeah.
Not wanting to think about, but it just keeps getting worse, so you can't help but realize that even if you don't buy or play their games, woof doesn't even cover it.
Woof.
Woof indeed.
Yep. Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard. Like, I'm still saying it out loud to try and like make it feel real for myself.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel real.
The biggest purchase in video game history.
I,
$68 billion. This is around like when Disney bought 20th Century Fox a few years ago. That was like a $60 billion purchase as well.
Yeah,
and it was crazy when that happened.
There's not been a bigger media acquisition since that historic merger of Disney buying Fox. And I believe it was I was watching Nintendo Live, and they had a guest on saying it's as if in video game terms, this is as if Disney just bought Coca-Cola, and it's really not that far off. And if you're listening, if you're happening upon this, and you're not a gamer, and you're not really in the video game world, first of all, what are you doing here? Second of all, you're welcome.
Here for the sexiness, man.
Has to be. But it's I was completely gobsmacked. But now Phil Spencer's comments, where I think it was literally a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, where when asked in an interview or some article what he thought about Activision Blizzard and Bobby Kotick, and he's like, well, it's not our place. He danced around the question. He's Phil Spencer, head of Xbox. P3 has always been very wise with his words, and he did exactly that. He was saying that it was not their place to be condemning the actions of other companies, or at least something along those lines. I was just about to try and Google for the exact quote, but he danced around that question because he knew this was in the works. Obviously,
it was the most corporate he's probably ever been. I would say. And at the end of the day, like I say, Phil's done an amazing job with Xbox. There's no doubt about it. But this was we were like, what the hell when they bought Bethesda? We were all saying. They bought an E3 slot in Bethesda. They literally bought an E3 slot. Here, they've literally just bought the biggest IP in the gaming industry in Call of Duty. The NPC just came out this week about that. They literally had the top 2 spots of top games selling of the 2021, and it's just you can see why they've done this. They've literally gone for the IPs. We know why they've done this and everything like that. I won't lie. I think the shit that's happened for Activision made the price a little bit more tastier for them
made it
when
possible.
they decided to go. Because this was possible either way if they wanted to. They had the cash to do it. They've only spent half of their war chest.
I agree, but I don't know if Activision Blizzard shareholders would have sold before.
Well, no. Apparently, they were the ones who pushed for this, to push to sell. Bobby Kotick was the one saying, no, I don't want to. Let's go and buy 2 news outlets and make them say nice things about us instead.
We'll get into that later. No, yeah, I don't think they would have sold to Microsoft before everything started going wrong for them.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Can I just shout out?
This went really fast. This happened really fast, apparently, which is insane to think.
Can I just shout out my new quote of the year for 2021, Phil Spencer, November 2021. We are evaluating all aspects of our relationship with Activision Blizzard. No kidding, you are.
If he ever says that again, no one's ever going to be like, he's buying someone. He's fucking buying someone. We are reevaluating our thoughts on Square Enix. They're fucking buying them, aren't they?
Square Enix. Oh my god.
Oh my god. It's happening.
I just hope that he, you know what, they reevaluated and apparently broke out the big Microsoft checkbook. But in that same, November 18th report to the Wall Street Journal, Phil Spencer told Xbox staff he was disturbed and deeply troubled by the horrific events and actions at Activision Blizzard. Quote, "This type of behavior has no place in our industry." Phil Spencer is the head of one of the big 3. Arguably it's been in 3rd place, but it's not about competition at this point. Obviously, it is in a lot of ways with this acquisition, but I think he's always been very wise about the words he uses whenever he is going on the record. And as you alluded to earlier, Moody, he's been quite candid as well. Or he feels like or at least he feels more candid, and him dodging questions around Activision Blizzard was him being more cagey than usual, right?
Yeah.
So let's just hope that, yes,
I mean,
we can all agree the type of behavior that we've heard so many too many reports of Activision Blizzard has no place in the world, let alone gaming industry. So fingers crossed there's a top to bottom refit. It would seem that maybe reports are coming in, we don't know quite yet, that Bobby Kotick might well stay in his position because of course he's made bloody massive amounts of money for the company. So, of course, why would things change, right? But that remains to be seen. Right?
I want to say something to that. I'll say this to everybody right now. I don't know anything going like this when it comes to this or anything like that. Bobby Kotick will leave. And he's going to get away scotch-free with everything that's happened with Activision and everything. And he's going to get he's getting the biggest payout, one of his biggest payouts ever, and he's going to get away with it scotch-free, and he's going to piss off and retire. And I think I don't know who tweeted. I think it might have been Imran. Yeah, I think he tweeted, "Now watch this. He'll leave, retire, and fuck off and do something with Trump." That will not freaking surprise me if he does this, but because we all know he's a big lover of Trumpy boy. But yeah, he's gonna. That's what the whole. They haven't said they can't. He's going to leave or anything like that because they can't right now. This is the thing. I think a lot of people are jumping to conclusions. Yeah. Microsoft and Activision cannot say yes and no if he's leaving. They can't. They're not allowed, because if they say things are going to get put into place, that's going to disrupt the entire deal. And the American law system or judicial system to get all this through is a pain in the backside to get done anyway. Like, this won't probably go through until mid 2023 we're hearing, if not halfway through that year. So it's a long way to go for this. So like it's crazy to think this, but yes,
it's next financial year, so like summer 2023 at the earliest.
Pretty much, yeah. There's no doubt about it. I'll say this right now. They're going to get the rot out. It's just going to take a lot of ass time. Like, I can see all of them who has anything against them will be gone as soon as possible, I think. But it's going to be like, that's not going to happen until next year. I won't lie. I'll be very surprised if we don't throw out for the next 18 months until the deal properly goes through. The people we've heard do crap things, that they've already left, that they've handed in a notice to go somewhere else because they probably know the writing's on the wall. I'll be very surprised about that.
Yeah.
If we don't start hearing that.
Yeah, when Microsoft and Phil Spencer specifically put out their statement last year about the Activision Blizzard abuse scandal, and I said very, very forcefully to Moody, it's time for Microsoft to put their money where their mouth is. This isn't what I meant.
Reverse.
But
Phil said this is the reverse of what she said.
It's the exact. I mean, if you want to be literal about it, it's exactly what I said. But like that's the main thing for me. Like, I know, like, with news this big, it's very difficult to process it quickly. And like, you have a million different thoughts, and I've seen takes about everything.
Oh, there's been a lot.
But like, my overriding thought has always just been the same overriding thought it has for Activision Blizzard for the last 6 months. Is like, okay, like, this will hopefully. That's all I want. I just want the culture at the company to improve. I always have, and I want the rot gone. Like Mooney says, I want them to rip that rot out and get rid of it, because it's got no place in the world. As Joe, as you rightly and very eloquently said.
I think
what you and me would have said, Amy.
Yeah,
Joe put it more eloquently.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
I also think we need to face the reality of a big merger like this, and this was put very well by oh gosh, I can't remember his name now. It was gone on True TV, and he did like the one of those like the explain it all, like a guy looking behind. Oh gosh, can't remember the name of him for the life of me now. Of course. But anyways, when big mergers like this happen, hundreds of people probably thousands of people will lose their jobs.
Yeah,
Good or bad. Like, like people, like you're saying, the people who are scum at this company are going to get out as quickly as possible, or they'll already be, not already be in the process, because as you say, it's going to take some time, but like they will hopefully be able to oust those people and make sure they don't stick around. Remove the rot is the right way to put it. But with a merger, it's not just Phil Spencer overlooking this whole thing now. It is them taking over every aspect of all the operations, the sheer list of companies, of game developers, publishers, staff under Activision Blizzard. Greg Miller reading it off on Kind of Funny Games Daily the other day, he had to take a breath in the middle, basically, because it's obscene, it's huge. It's the reality of these things is that while it's going to look great on Xbox's, Microsoft's future balance sheet, if all goes well for them, more power to them. The rich get richer. There's going to be real world like capitalist casualties of people who are not going to be able to stay there because they're either just the new leadership doesn't want them, or the restructuring, right? And that's. It's not. Any tweets alluding. I hope people were just in shock. But like any tweets I saw the other day where it was just like, oh my god, wow, biggest gaming news of the year. I'm just sort of like, just can we not?
I mean,
can we?
This is probably the biggest gaming news story that has ever happened.
Yeah.
It really has. Like, they've literally just bought the biggest gaming company in the world. Activision really were. They have the strongest IP, the most profitable IP, should I say? The strongest, maybe debatable when it comes to the subjectiveness part, but yeah, it's
monetarily, like they've got Candy Crush and Call of Duty and World of Warcraft
and Overwatch.
And Overwatch.
Yeah. Just so that more big names than any other publishers can really put down for, especially across multiple platforms, and that's a whole other kettle of fish, isn't it?
That is a kettle of fish. That's kind of worms, I'd say. That's just been opened up. Do we want to talk about that part, like the whole exclusivity kerfuffle?
It's all gonna go to Xbox. We know this. They're going to keep Warzone multi-platform because it's a multi-platform thing. Anything that's been agreed with Sony already before this purchase, all those agreements will continue, but eventually everything will go exclusive to Microsoft. That's going to happen. You don't spend $68 billion to make sure not take everything on and put it onto Game Pass. And the thing, if they come out and prove us wrong and say, no, Xbox is the biggest, Call of Duty is the biggest IP in the world, we want it on everything, then that's their prerogative if they want to do that, but I can't say that.
I mean, you could flip that statement around and say Call of Duty is the biggest, one of the biggest IPs in the world. Yeah. Why wouldn't we just put it on Xbox?
Yeah, exactly. Completely, exactly. Like, it's the same thing with the Bethesda thing. Like, they've took everything and made that exclusive. They're going to they've honored the deals for them so far. They're going to do the same with Activision. Nothing's going to change. I can see people being upset about this and everything, especially if you're a PlayStation. On the PlayStation side and everything, and if that's Call of Duty is the only thing you really buy, or if it's the big AAA games that are annually that drop every year, like the FIFAs and all like that, and you've losing one and you play it on your PlayStation, I can understand if you're going to be really ticked off by this and everything. I'm sorry,
but also, right, everything is eventually coming to Game Pass for those gamers, right? Because EA Play is already part of Game Pass. You're not going to get the Ultimate Team version of FIFA 23, 24, whatever it is, day one. I don't know quite what their deal is there, but if it's going to be there, I think it will be interesting to see how this shifts, but equally, I kind of struggle to care, because with the increased cross-platform play, and also on a very personal level, these aren't games I'm gonna keep playing. Like Activision Blizzard doesn't tend to make games for me, and they don't make games for a lot of people. They do make games for a vast majority of people. More power to you if you're buying your Call of Duty every year. You clearly were last year, and this news isn't even going to affect you really, because they're going to keep making sure that makes money. The only thing it might affect in the future is where you have to buy it, right?
Which console you buy.
That's
the ultimate thing going to be about, like, us and who ears to the industry who know about this and everything that's happened and everything. We're practically unaffected by this. We're all right at the end of the day. Like, we barely play Activision games anyway, either of us here really. But when it comes to like the casuals, the families and everything who have no idea that this has happened whatsoever, and then they go eventually in a few years' time, they see it's like, oh, I want to buy the new Call of Duty for my son for Christmas. So they say, oh, it's only on Xbox now. Or, well, I believe my son only has a PlayStation. That's the thing about it. But Microsoft, at the end of the day, they won't give a flying hoot because they're getting the biggest IP and they know it's still going to sell and make Xbox Game Pass even more of a mouth-watering thing to know that all of those are going to go there eventually. It's insane.
Wowzers.
Those small little gripes are literally nothing into the grander scheme of buying Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, this isn't a short-term maneuver by Xbox.
Yeah.
Like they don't care about the short term. Their long term goal is always to get everyone who plays video games subscribed to Game Pass.
Yeah, I'll say one thing. Like Phil Spencer, you read Bob Iger's book from the old CEO of Disney, and you've literally decided, I'm going to do everything he did, but I'm going to do it in half the fucking time, or even less than half the fucking time. Because what Bob Iger did for Disney in 15 years. That was a 15-year plan. He's done this in like 5 years. Buying all those other studios, Bethesda, now Activision Blizzard, and everyone's now worried, are they going to go out and buy more? Ubisoft, EA, Take-Two, and all that crap and everything. At the end of the day, they could. This is what like we've all been saying. They theoretically can. Even though Sony out-revenues them in the console market or the gaming market, which blew my mind when I saw that. I was thinking, wow, they actually do out revenue them.
They have to.
But this is just this purchase knocked Microsoft all the way up to third, just behind Sony, which is insane. If Microsoft wanted to, they could buy Sony. This is how the money gap between Microsoft and Sony is. Sony are $1 billion company. Microsoft are $1 trillion company.
I think it's that is also gonna actually come down to a cultural stalemate at the end of the day. That's a conversation for another day. But in the same way that I think when Microsoft years and years ago had that meeting with Nintendo to ask if there was ever any conversation, they got laughed out of the room. And to be fair, at that time, they would have got laughed out of the room if they were going in to ask about Sony as well, and most other companies, because they didn't have any gaming cachet, really. But the thing is that this is just another move to we see it with Amazon inhaling companies and making them part of everything, and it's scary. To be honest, a little part of it is I'm scared by it a bit, just because even if I'm not hugely into the Xbox ecosystem, it like the first thing I thought when I heard this news was like, I should really actually finally cancel that Game Pass subscription, because I at the moment at least I don't want to be putting my money towards this. Game Pass is currently one of those things I've forgotten. It renews, and I have it, and I still haven't played Halo Infinite. Like yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's a shame, but it's like actually, and I'm very much in a minority. A lot of people are just going to be very happy about this and can't wait for the day where everything that Activision Blizzard publish comes to Game Pass day one, or week one, or whatever it is, or eventually, especially with their huge back catalog. that Xbox is going to almost certainly want to support as well. But it's just it's like I think you were both saying earlier on. It's to process it. It's a shock to the system.
This is what this is for. This is group talking therapy for us. We're just going to talk this out and then process it by the end of it. And one day I will remember to cancel my Marvel Comics Unlimited subscription. But
it is not this day.
But it is not this day because my phone is alight right now. Yeah, it's like I'm conflicted, right? Like I had to read the headline itself because this was shared. So we have a private Discord and we have a channel on there where it's just news dump and we just dump links for whatever news stories are interesting in there. And like, someone just dropped a link and I was busy. So I was like, oh, it's fine. Moody didn't send it. So it's probably not that big of a news story. So it's fine. I can just leave it and then pick the fucking phone up and I looked at it and I read the headline 5 times to understand what I was looking at. Like, like Microsoft have bought what? You have bought what? Who? And yeah, it's a very conflicting thing. But for me, right now, as I'm sitting here at the start of 2022, me and Moody were literally just last night, we were talking about games and how we were going to review them and how we were going to play them. Ironically, we just played a game on Game Pass and one of us is going to sit down and review it at some point. Nothing has changed for me. Because right now I still have that focus of this deal isn't going to go through till 2023. Bobby Kotick still runs the company. That executive team, for the most part, like apart from the ones who have already been removed or who have left of their own volition, are still there. A better no, not better Ubisoft. The AVK Alliance is still doing their thing. Like, as far as I'm concerned, that's still my number one priority regarding Activision Blizzard specifically. Like, make the company better for the people that work there. And that for me hasn't changed. As far as like playing on my Xbox and playing Game Pass goes, I mean, like fucking hell, man. Like, about 10 people over Christmas were like, which console should I get? And every time my answer was, get an Xbox because it's got the Game Pass and that's going to save you the money. And it's only £250. Like, I hope... Like, we always say this, every time Microsoft buys a studio, like, because they put fucking shitloads in the last few years, they always come at it with, we're not going to change the culture of this studio. We want them to be independent, keep doing their thing, and, like, just make the games that they want to make. And that's been great, you know what I mean? Like, when they buy Ninja Theory, when they bought Double Fine, like, these studios with really great identities and really strong identities that make really awesome games, just being given resources to make those games and not have to worry about if the games are going to sell because they go on Game Pass. That's awesome to me. Like, we get games like Psychonauts 2 out of that deal. That's fantastic. I hope the opposite's true with Activision Blizzard. Like, I hope Microsoft comes in and changes that fucking culture because the culture is horrible. We all know, we've all read it, we've all heard it, we've all talked about it for a long time. And anything else that follows that, I mean, like, wait and see mode, right? Like, this is like the domino that would fall to knock all the other dominoes over. And I'm not thinking about any of the other dominoes right now. Like, was this going to get me? Amy, is this going to get you to play like Overwatch 2? Because you used to play Overwatch all the time. It's like, I'm not thinking about that right now. Like, right now, all I care about is this going to improve the conditions for the people who work at that company? Because we know people who have worked at that company in the past. We know people who currently work at that company. And the stories that we've been told, like, we've been talking to someone, myself and Moody, who used to work at Blizzard a long time ago, who is only just now coming to the realization of how bad it was at that company now, because they're looking at it through a new lens. And that's what I want. That's all I don't care about right now, is changing that. So any other questions and any other thoughts? Like, I can speculate, like, we can all speculate, like, when's COD going to go exclusive to Xbox, etc., etc., etc. What's this going to do to PlayStation? Because apparently it's the 90s and we do console wars still. Like, I don't care. Right now, yeah. I don't care.
PlayStation will be fine. It's hit them, no doubt about it. Like, they had lost 20 billion when this freaking thing happened in their market cap. I
Oh,
couldn't
yeah,
believe when
but-
I heard that and everything.
They'll
But
get that back as
PlayStation will
soon
be
as God of War comes out and Horizon
Oh,
comes
hell
out.
yeah.
And
Oh yeah, yeah. Like they're going to be absolutely fine, and I think everyone's got to like what you were saying there is completely spot on. Yeah, like, but I'll add to that. I think there's a lot of staff now who still work at Activision and Blizzard are now thinking, who may have thought I'm looking to leave, might think I'm going to stick it out now because I want to stay here and hopefully work with Microsoft in when they properly take over to fix this proper culture and finally have the dream job I really wanted to have. And I can see that a lot happen now. Thinking I'm going to stick it out and I'm going to get this thing fixed in the next 5 years working with Microsoft.
that Blizzard especially is a dream job for people. People go specifically to that company because Blizzard is a part of their memories with things like Warcraft, Diablo, and the true best Blizzard game, The Lost Vikings. Bring back The Lost Vikings, please. That is a dream job for people, and then you get there, and then it turns out the dream is a nightmare. Which is just it fucking sucks. So yeah, I agree 100% what you're saying there. The only concern I would have with that is, like, I hope this doesn't pause anything that was happening to already change the culture at Activision Blizzard, because now people could get stuck in purgatory, because again, this deal isn't going to go through until 2023. We're talking like 18 months away at least, if it doesn't take longer. So what I hope is that, like, anything that's happening right now, like the QA testers from Raven are still on strike. Management at Activision Blizzard still haven't talked to them. They still haven't contacted them in any way. The ABK Alliance still has demands that haven't been met. Like, everything that was true 72 hours ago about Activision Blizzard is still true right now.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and in the Washington Post today, Gene Park had an interview with Phil Spencer and addressing exactly what I can't agree with more from yourself, Amy, and Moody there. Spencer said that the Activision Blizzard acquisition process began toward the end of 2021 last year, and part of that process included Microsoft absorbing the many reported challenges Activision Blizzard had faced over the past year, including, of course, I'm paraphrasing with those. The lawsuits alleging charges of gender-based discrimination and sexual harassment, as well as a nascent effort to unionize by the company's workers. Phil Spencer's quote was, "We spent time with the Activision team looking at the incidents, looking at employee polls, and then had a good discussion with them about their plan, both the progress they've been making and what their plan was," Spencer said, adding that during the lengthy regulatory process, Microsoft would have no involvement with Activision's legal woes. And he's saying we had to look at that forward plan and ensure we had a kind of confidence in that. And then he goes on to say, speaking about Microsoft's non-unionized employees, asking how Microsoft feels about unions. He doesn't have a lot of personal experience with them. I'll say we'll be having conversations about what empowers them to do their best work, which is, you can imagine, the creative industry is the most important thing for us. And this is one of the kind of most upsetting things, is like transparency is still something that we're really struggling to get within the video game industry, and the way forward for these companies when things like that happen. And it's why people get hung up on, the huge impact that this has had. My Twitter feed was not everyone talking about the abuse that's still ongoing and not being addressed, and not we don't know what's going to happen. We didn't know what was going to happen before Microsoft announced this. Before this came
on Monday,
to light.
we had no idea this was going to happen.
Exactly, we had no idea this was going to happen, but also we still didn't necessarily have a clear way through, and that's why I know, and our human brains are dumb when we get attracted by the stupidest parts of, like, $68 billion. Oh my god, the huge debate. But it's like, no, it's not about that. It's not about the numbers. Yeah, billions of dollars. Who gives a monkeys? Amy, you are so bloody right. Like, it's about the people, and more than anything, we just want to know that they're going to be done right by. Doesn't freaking Elon Musk could buy Microsoft. He's not going to, but you know what I mean. Like whoever, like any person. But it's like, that's the core question.
I mean,
Is Phil Spencer just doing corporate speak? And has he just been putting the right words in the right places for the past few years that he's been building up his image at Microsoft? Or are we actually going to see meaningful change for the people to improve the workplace culture
there's going to
and
be
the treatment of Activision Blizzard employees?
so as far as Phil Spencer and anyone who currently like works in Microsoft's executive team goes, like there's going to be issues of what you can and can't say, like from a legal standpoint, because of the laws around. Because it's again, like I know the headlines say Microsoft have bought Activision Blizzard. Well, they haven't bought them yet. And there's things you can and can't say, and there's things you can and can't do. So like Phil Spencer and Satya Nadella and everybody else who is in Microsoft's executive team have to walk a line. Like we saw this with Bethesda. Like we endless think pieces and opinion pieces from gaming news sites because we weren't getting any information about what Microsoft's plans were with Bethesda. And then once the deal went through, clarification came, and that's why we get that. And that's unfortunately what we're going to be in for the next 18 months plus, depending on how long it takes for this deal to go through. I saw a great, because $68 billion is like an unfathomable amount of money. But I saw someone put it in a really good perspective that I wanted to share on this podcast, which is the United Nations estimates that to end global hunger, it would cost $6.6 billion. And
like it's and I don't know who's a sports fan here. I'm not particularly. It reminds me of like football players get bought for millions, bought and sold for millions, and contracts are so high. And it's just like guys, it's just video games. I know it's a huge industry. I know it costs a lot of money, but why can't why couldn't Microsoft just be like, hey, here's a fucking cent, here's a penny. We'll make all your troubles go away, Bobby. You can run away into your hole filled with gold that you've surmounted over the years. And it's just like, yeah, this money could be going to something way better. It could, solve world hunger 10 times and
10
more
times.
over. Like,
yeah, I think sometimes like it's, and I love video games. Like I do. Like I really do. And I'm glad they get made. But like, yeah, it's like you could have solved world hunger 10 times over with this money. Like, hell, Microsoft are rich enough they could have bought Activision Blizzard and then decided, you know what? We found some change down the back of the couch while we were at our HQ, so we'll solve world hunger with that, and buy Activision Blizzard.
yeah. Well, we just always need to remember that private companies are not acting in the best interests of people in need. They are acting in the best interests of themselves and their shareholders. At some point, I'll probably be guessing on this show or another to be like, oh God, no, Nintendo. Like yeah. And I really hate to be saying that, but because they make non-consumer friendly decisions, and they have done things which are not right for the people who love their games and their platforms the most, like myself and a ton of other Nintendo fans. But it's just like, you pray to God that it's just like there's, well, and again, getting wrapped up in it, but yeah,
we tend to keep a narrow focus on the podcast for the most part, of just like, this is a gaming news podcast, and we're going to talk about the gaming news and how that impacts gaming. But sometimes it isn't good to put things in perspective. And me and Moody have both said it. Like we've been singing Xbox's praises all last year because they say the right things, they do good things. I just wanted to. I saw that on Twitter and it was stuck in my head, so I just wanted to get it out of my head. Basically,
no. I appreciate you sharing it because it really does help put perspective on it. And yeah, and companies are always going to do their best to say and do the right things, and then just at least this is, I hope, as big as it is in terms of our video game sphere. I hope it's at least prompting more people to stop and think, right? Like I still think about the fact that 20th Century Fox doesn't exist anymore. 20th Century Studios does.
Yeah.
And the history of William Fox, who founded 20th Century Fox, who was a cinematic pioneer, creating one of the first like cinema chains in America. And this is, obviously we're dealing with a lot more serious stuff, but yes, it's like this will result in big changes, and hopefully we'll see a trend towards the better. But we don't know at this point. And that's why it's quite shocking and scary, and everyone's still reeling from it, right?
Yeah.
I think what it is, that's why everyone's so shocked is right now is that we all kind of knew the Disney one was going to happen with 20th Century Fox. We were hearing about the bids and everything that were going on between them and Universal, between each company and everything. And then obviously when Universal backed out, it was a foregone conclusion that Disney were going to buy 20th Century Fox. But this one was like, it came out of literally nowhere. We're literally only 20 days into this new goddamn year, and Microsoft have literally just destroyed, has topped the news of what anything's going to happen this year. This will still probably the biggest news that'll come out for the rest of this year.
Easily.
Nothing's gonna
top this
at all. Nothing's gonna top it at all. And that's insane to think that's happened. And like Jason Snyder didn't even know this happened. He's on holiday, and then when it happened, he's like, he threw his 10 cents into it and everything like that. But this is like, wow. Like, I was out when this happened. I was out. Amy messaged me.
Oh my god! Can I tell you? Can I say the messages?
Yeah.
So after I'd seen this, and I was like, I'd finally processed like what had happened, like in terms of like the fact of it, and I messaged Moody, and I just, you were like, I think you sent me a message like, hey, did you see that Judgment's going to get a TV series? And I just like looked at the phone and went, have you seen the news? And you went, what news? And I was like,
No.
Check Discord. And then you went, I'm out. I'll check it when I get home. And I literally messaged you and went, no, this can't wait.
Said, oh, wait, what do you mean? What's wrong? And then she gave me a picture, and I was like, what the fuck?
I shouted, what the fuck, at my phone when I read it. In public. There were people around me who were like, are you okay? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm okay.
I was in a Pizza Express having my lunch with a partner.
Did you just shout, what the fuck, in the middle of a Pizza Express?
I didn't know if I was that loud, but I went, what the fuck? Yeah, it was bonkers. Wow. Like, it came out of it nowhere, and that's the thing about it. I think it's probably more on terms of of shock value, maybe. I don't know if this will even hit even closer, but like Disney buying Star Wars, because no one knew that was going to happen either. That was very quiet. They kept that under wraps, and then obviously it revealed the date that when they revealed, said, "We're buying Lucasfilm, motherfuckers, peace out."
I mean, it's telling that we can't compare this to anything that's ever happened in the games industry. We have to keep comparing it to the two different industries. Like, that tells you how seismic this was.
Yeah. The only one that comes close to it is the same, because it's bloody Microsoft again who bought Bethesda last year.
That was a surprise.
I think that, well, based on talking about Disney, of course, acquiring Marvel, Star Wars, 20th Century Fox,
Pixar,
Microsoft, Pixar, of course, way back. And then, Microsoft, Bethesda last year, Activision, Blizzard. It shouldn't be, it is what the fuck, but it's also like, oh, I guess what's next? Because this only gets them more money. And also, in terms of, tale as old as time, Microsoft walked into a room and offered Nintendo to buy out Nintendo because, to be honest, they had the money for it at the time. No, this is the thing. It's like it's never almost been a question
Have
about
the
that.
money now, mate.
No, exactly. Yeah, but it's like they wouldn't sell. But it's just that. Oh well, actually, as much as it's a surprise for us now, it's like, of course, it's not actually surprising because it makes complete sense because it's gonna just line everyone's pockets that much more.
I have one question here to use here. Do you think if this keeps going how it's going, when it comes to Microsoft, do you think eventually Sony and Nintendo won't sell up, but they will literally just go, that Game Pass thing, can we get it on our consoles?
Nintendo might.
To get the games back on there, just in case if something bonkers happens that they literally say, "Yo, EA, how much? Got ya. Capcom, how much? Got ya. Square Enix, that much? There you go, mate." Like that, and then everyone it just forces them into a
walking around E3, just fucking making it rain. Sorry,
well, no one's gonna be walking around E3.
Yeah, all right, fair. Maybe not E3. Gamescom. We'll go to Gamescom.
Yeah, money. But yeah, it's bonkers. But this is the thing. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I'll just speak on Nintendo very briefly because it's the one I know the most about.
Yeah, of course.
Nintendo's been their own company since the 1800s. I think that a collaboration, even on the level of put our games on the Game Pass, their thing is marching to the beat of their own drum. They sit on their IP until they have what they feel is something different to put into a game, a new mechanic, a new way to play. And especially while the Switch is currently making money hand over fist, industry ebbs and flows. The next, Switch 2 or 3 could be the next Wii U. It could have people asking that eternal question: is Microsoft going to buy Nintendo? They didn't then, and I don't think Nintendo will. They won't end up doing that until they literally have no other option. And Nintendo has proven that they can win back that third party support because they didn't have it on Wii U, and they also didn't have it for a lot on Wii. They had a lot of shovelware and stuff like that.
Yeah, Wii was a huge console for them, but you try to name games that were on it, and you draw a blank very quickly with games.
I mean, I don't because I have a problem. You're Mr. Nintendo though. No. But also, yeah, it's like they don't. Yeah, they currently don't need it, and also I think to a certain extent, it's very similar to Sony. And Sony, if nothing else, have proven they're an extremely stubborn company.
Oh God,
how long did it take them to turn on the crossplay switch for freaking Rocket League and Fortnite? They've only just begun to buckle with that, and again, that is also a culture thing, as well as money. They want their money to be their money. They don't like it having to split any amount of revenue with any other publisher or corporation. So I don't think I wouldn't imagine that we'll see Microsoft swallow everything up, because also equally Microsoft knows that competition is good for the industry. Microsoft and Apple, think about that.
That's the thing about it. That's who's the competition. Who's the competition? They've already stated, Sony and Nintendo aren't really the competition they're fighting anymore. It's the $1 trillion companies, the Apples, the Tencents, the Googles and everything. That's who they're aiming for, not Sony and Nintendo and everything. But they're going to gobble up what their little pot they're in.
They want people on Game Pass. It goes beyond Xbox. It goes beyond the Xbox console. It goes to the Xbox ecosystem. They don't care if you buy an Xbox Series S or an Xbox Series X. They don't care about that. They want you in Game Pass. Do you have a phone? Cool. You can play games on it. With Game Pass, do you have a PC, a laptop? Pretty soon, I'm sure smart TVs will. You know what I mean? Where you are, they want you to be playing their games.
I think they want to be Apple, but more accessible. It really, because it's Apple has eaten the lunch of Microsoft for quite a number of years, especially in terms of iPhone, and and it's only now that
Remember
really
Windows Phone?
right, exactly, yeah. How many people had a Windows Phone and then never had one again? Me,
I did. I did. It was terrible.
It was, yeah, they were bad,
They were bad
and they,
phones.
yeah, they're gonna try their hand at everything there is to keep making that money and play nice where they have to, and then like we saw with Bethesda, yeah, Starfield is not going to be on PlayStation.
No, and eventually Call of Duty won't be on PlayStation. Like
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
There'll be hand wringing, there'll be vague statements, there'll be allusions to things like over the next 18 to 24 months about what will and won't be on PlayStation as far as Activision Blizzard IPs go. I can answer that question right now. It's whatever is contractually obligated to be on PlayStation will be on PlayStation.
Exactly.
And then as soon as those contractual obligations end, those games will be on Xbox and PC and they will not be on PlayStation. And PlayStation's response to this will probably have to be to focus down on their own games and their own IP and their own studios. And they make very different types of moves to Xbox, as we've seen. Like Xbox just comes out and buys Bethesda out of nowhere, or buys fucking Activision Blizzard out of nowhere. PlayStation buys, but like, was anyone surprised when PlayStation bought Insomniac Games? No. Like that makes perfect sense for that to happen.
And also, I think, and on a weird, difference of approach sense, Xbox released a monolith console with a controller that they've been refining for years, but is more of the same in a way.
Yeah.
A big improvement hardware-wise, but they're like, yep, let's just make the games, as many as we can, from wherever. Just give them to everybody, make it the most accessible ever. And then PlayStation was sort of like, okay, let's
reinvent the wheel.
Let's do what they can to, same but different. It's a weird looking Wi-Fi router. They've got they've got the dual sense there. They wanted to catch people's eye with that in a way that the Series X, no one can really necessarily easily buy a Series X, but the PS5 and PlayStation still has that hold. So
yeah,
but it's
any like we've talked about this a couple of times in 2021, didn't we, Moody? Any shift in terms of like PlayStation being the best selling console or Xbox being the best selling console off of the back of anything that's happening right now won't be seen for like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, next console generation, the console generation after, because that penetration takes time. Like it took years for the general public to, after that disaster of an Xbox One reveal, it took years. Like that, when was that? That was 2012, 2013. The console always has to be always online, like when Xbox One was revealed. 2013, wasn't it? And it's like the console always has to be always online, and that was like the big message that came out of that. And you'd still have like casual people or parents of kids who would still believe as late as like 2015, 2016 that their Xbox One always had to be online, even though obviously the messaging was reversed pretty fucking sharpish after E3. So like stuff like this takes time to penetrate all the way through to like the messaging cycle all the way down, like to more casual console buyers.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They do take the casuals are very slow when it comes to hearing things, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing or anything like that towards them. It's just that their headspace is in other things that they enjoy doing and everything. Yeah. So.
Well, this is what I was talking to Phil, because obviously Phil was standing right next to me when I looked at my phone and shouted, "What the fuck?" to my phone. And like he is, like I've said on this podcast before, he is my yardstick for like a casual gamer. He has his wife has a Switch. She asked me for game recommendations. Spiritfarer was one of her favorite games, so she's like trusts me completely now. And like Phil will play a game every now and again on his PS4.
That's me as well, because she loves Let's Build a Zoo. So
she does love Let's Build a Zoo. But they're very casual gamers, and he said, like, as I was like babbling away, like 20 minutes after I had learned this had happened. And he's like, "Is it like how big is this?" And I just said, "Well, have you heard of Call of Duty?" And he went, "Yeah, yeah." And have you heard of Candy Crush? Yeah, yeah. And I went, "That's how big this is." You've heard of it. You've heard of the things that are going to be impacted by this, because in a way, like where it's Bethesda, where it's like, have you heard of the Elder Scrolls? No, I haven't heard of the Elder Scrolls. Have you heard of fucking Deathloop? No, I haven't heard of Deathloop. It's like, yeah, that's how big this news is.
Yep.
Yeah, and I just think that also, weirdly enough, where even I think once this goes through, if it does still, because there's going to be a lot of obstacles for them in terms of, as Moody, you were saying, US judicial system. They're gonna really use this as an example to sort of put big tech through the ringer, with the way a deal like this can or can't go down. For genuinely though, until people literally have to buy a different machine or start a new subscription to play their game, it's not going to affect something like Candy Crush on people's phones, and it's not going to affect Call of Duty for a rather long time.
Oh.
And even so, like,
and even then, you might be looking at like the next generational shift. So the next PlayStation 6 and the next Xbox, and that might be where it starts affecting that. And then all that's going to happen is someone who, as Moody was talking about, because there's a lot of people out there who will only play COD and FIFA on a yearly basis. Like, they'll look and they'll go, well, I had a PlayStation, I want a PlayStation again. But then they look at it and they go, well, hang on, the Xbox might be the best place to play the games that I want to play. And then it might not even be an aggravation to them. They might just go, oh, well, I'll just get this box instead of this box.
Yeah, and it depends if their friends are still playing games by that point, if these franchises continue to have the hold that they do generationally for generations of people, as well as the actual consoles themselves. Where are your friends playing it? Yes. Everyone, when I was in, like, I mean, I was the kid who had a Nintendo Wii, me and a couple of other friends, and then everyone else had an Xbox 360. Who had a PlayStation 3? Basically nobody. Yeah. And then you see it shift again and flip for PS4 and Xbox One. And you know, I have an old Xbox One, the VCR style machine, sitting beneath me, not because I bought it when it came out, but because I was given it last year because I didn't have an Xbox by someone who was an Xbox gamer but moved over to play on PlayStation.
It belongs in a museum. Sorry.
No, it does. It does. Da, 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 da. You go
where your friends go, because like that's why I still play multiplayer games on Xbox, because I'm from that. Like, in terms of like online multiplayer, it was Halo. Halo was the thing that got me playing online multiplayer. Where do I play that? Well, I play it on my Xbox. So my friends are like, well, I want to play Halo with you. Where do I play that? On the Xbox. So then we've all got Xboxes, so we get Left 4 Dead, and we get Call of Duty, and we get all of the other multiplayer games that we've played throughout the years, like me and Moody and Keith. When we were all locked down in 2020, we played Apex Legends for about 65,000 hours, and we played it on Xbox because that's where I play multiplayer games. That's where Keith plays multiplayer games. Like, so yeah, there is that as well. Like that, people are tied in terms of multiplayer games, which is kind of what we're talking about for the most part with Activision Blizzard's output anyway. Like, people are tied into those communities that they build with their friends or with like people they meet through playing the game. So yeah. Do you remember a few years ago when there was that wild report that came out where it was like, Microsoft are considering buying EA, and we all laughed and went, that'll never happen. Nothing like that could ever happen. Oops.
Well, I think if the past 2 years have taught us anything, based on the fact that obviously we're still sitting here in our own little, online bubbles, physical spaces, talking to each other over the internet when we might want to be doing otherwise. Anything.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. We don't know. We don't know. What is it? Humans are smart. People are dumb, panic animals. Like the Tommy Lee Jones Men in Black.
Yeah.
We all sat on our podcast a few years ago and we thought we were very clever because we all sat there and went, "There's no possible way that Microsoft could ever buy EA or anyone as big as EA." January 2021. So Microsoft just bought Activision.
They went bigger. They went bigger. Jesus.
2022.
2022. My apologies.
Time is a flat circle.
Time hasn't moved forward since March 2020.
Yeah.
We're all stuck in a bubble still.
Yeah. I think. Does anyone else have any thoughts, any questions, any speculations they want to get off their chests? Anything else that you can think of?
No, not really. Like, whatever happens now when the deal eventually does go through, because it will go through. I don't think they would have signed everything if they weren't confident that it wasn't going to go through. What we've said already, that Microsoft, when you can, you go in there and you rip that company apart and get rid of the rot. Go in hard, go in deep. That sounded really wrong.
That's what she said. That's what she said.
Wow.
I need to get that on a pillow or something.
Yeah,
just right there.
Yeah. Get rid of the rot. Like Bobby Kotick, like do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. Just get away. Get out of the industry. We do not want you in here whatsoever. The same goes for your board and everything, and same goes for the people who are below you and whatnot, who are the rot. Get rid of them. Get rid of them.
Like, I will acknowledge that it fucking sucks that Bobby Kotick is going to walk away in 2023 with hundreds of millions of dollars as a like golden parachute for guiding Activision Blizzard. Yeah, guiding Activision Blizzard to this. Like, there is no like, I don't have the appropriate grasp of the English language to properly convey how much I hate that thought. However, I will find the silver lining in the cloud and say at least he will be gone away from the game industry, and he hopefully can take all of his fucking Trump supporting fucking torture apologist shitheads with him, and I'm holding on to that like as a thing, like to say like there is at least a small positive here.
I think the other positive is that thank God none of the other companies that were rumored said yes to buy this. I think if Amazon bought them, nothing would have changed. Same goes if Meta bought them, if Google bought them, if Tencent bought them. I think if any of those bought them, nothing would have changed at Activision Blizzard whatsoever. I think with Microsoft, even though it's a shock to the system and it's like completely upended what the industry looks like as a whole, I trust in Phil Spencer and his team that when the deal goes through, that, like I said already, they will get rid of the rot. So I do trust that they will do that. Like, you've got the biggest game in the world is your IPs in the next in 18 months' time that you own, and if you put that out and put proper care into it and allow the teams to be able to put proper care into them, take it from annual. For God's sakes, take that Call of Duty from annual and make it an every 2-year franchise if you wanted to, or something like that. Let the developers truly be able to put out a game that they truly are, because you never look. They say it's like, we're really proud of this game. You never fucking look it, mate. You don't look it on your stage there. Call of Duty is the most incredible game in the world and everything like that. Well, you never look like you're really happy with it. And give them the time. Let the creators create. You step back, do what you're doing already with the other studios, but obviously just go deeper when it comes to Activision. Like, fix the rot. Let the creators create. Let them create something new. Like, for God's sakes, let them bring in a new IP, create a new IP for you, or bring back some of the old ones that they don't even touch anymore, for God's sakes. Just, like what we've said on many occasions, like for all of 2021, since all the shit with Activision came out, Activision has a rich history of being of throwing out great, amazing games. And now they've been stuck in a rot for the last 10, 20 freaking years. and we know they can do greatness again. And if just given a chance, this could really come out and be fantastic if they're given a chance to do some amazing things. They can get some of the best developers working on some of the best games that this company. Fix World of Warcraft. Forget it. I'll say that. Scrap Overwatch 2 and just freaking expand Overwatch. Put a story mode into it. Make it bigger. Evolve the fucking game instead of doing a fucking sequel for no reason at all. Just do all of this shit, and I think you'll literally I think I'm gonna say a bold thing now. I think in 5 years' time we're gonna be speaking maybe a little bit different about Activision Blizzard, and it'll be lovely to fucking say it, because last year it was tiring, Amy.
I remember I was there.
Yeah. Moody, I didn't want to.
No, I was finished. Go.
I want to be there. I want to be there in 5 years' time.
Should I put it in the calendar?
Because, but for a lot of the reasons that you said, the sheer amount of money that these big name franchises are guaranteed to make genuinely, like you would literally, well, hey, you can release a Battlefield 2042 that's broken upon release, like, CD Projekt Red is still probably going to be coming back, right? Like even a Cyberpunk isn't necessarily going to stop that. So, and obviously it's a different situation in a lot of ways. But yeah, I want them to, understand that the money's going to take care of itself, and then
they have to take care of
just take care of the people. Take care of the people. Exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth, Amy. I would love to jump back into. I have a copy of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 for Xbox, literally sitting there. I played it. I kind of, I love Tony Hawk's. It's one of my favorite historic game series. Especially since the news came out, Activision Blizzard. I think I got it for Christmas 2020 as like a random gift because I used to love Tony Hawk. Obviously I'm just bad at playing games. Backlog's bad. But I haven't put it back in that Xbox. And that's not because of Xbox. That's just because it's like, oh god, even the fact that Activision publishing it made me feel icky about it. Like that's the person I am. So, I want. I don't care about the games at the end of the day. I just want them to make sure that they actually improve things, remove the rot, and take care of what matters most, which is the people that make the games.
Take care of the people, and the games will take care of themselves.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. The games will be better because people will be treated better and will work better when they're treated better. I guess I don't know if "put your money where your mouth is" still an applicable sentence. I think it's more like put your money where your money is. Put your mouth where your money is. Xbox. But the last thing I just want to talk about, I just want to point it out, is that obviously the new Xbox gaming leadership team was announced or whatever, throughout, as part of this whole thing. And I think it's really nice that more than 50% of that Xbox gaming leadership team are women.
It's a sexy look, there's no doubt about it. Phil Spencer, CEO of Xbox, with that sexy team he has underneath him, which is a combination of many different people, many different looking people, many different sexes and everything. It's fantastic to see. This is how it's done. Ladies and gentlemen and everyone out there, this is how it's fucking done. Proper leadership, listening, bringing in, giving opportunities to people who don't have opportunities out there. Not to say, hey, we'll go after CV. Well, your CV is, or your pasty white dude. But your CV looks sexy, so I'll hire you, and everything like that. No, give people the opportunity, and you do that, they will help. They will come back, and I truly believe that if you give people a chance, they will give you 1,000 bazillion %, and you will be proven that your trust in them will benefit you.
More diverse voices being able to speak in the room will result in a better result. I used the word result twice in the same sentence. I don't feel good about that, but I'm losing the ability to speak. We should wrap this up now.
Yeah.
No, I think we've really covered in pretty solid detail everything that can be said at this point. You have to tune into future Words About Games episodes to find out more.
Yep. Oh yeah. Like next Monday when we talk about Game of the Year, me and Moody are going to be going through our top 20 games of 2021. It's going to be good times. I've seen his list. He saw my list a while ago. I've changed a bunch of it since then, and I still haven't played Metroid. I really need to get on that. But that's going to do it for this weird interstitial episode of the Words About Games podcast. Thank you both, Moody and Joe, for a really good conversation about this. That's not full of hot takes and knee-jerk reactions. And two, for like answering a summons of me going, we should talk about this. I don't think we can leave this for a week and a half. and just showing up and being here, because that's also awesome. So thank you for that as well.
I was very tempted to say no to you. Say I want to wait until we do the news proper in a couple of weeks' time. No, Amy, no.
If it had been, and I think I've proven this over the last few weeks, if it had literally been anything else, I wouldn't have done this. This is probably the one thing that would have happened that prompted me to do this.
Yeah, I felt as though it's I don't always feel right talking about this on my platforms. Not that I wouldn't, but like it's just it a lot of time it just brings me down, and I don't want to be brought down. But chatting with you both about it, it's I like however difficult the stories get, where you do what you can when you can to keep in mind we all want the best for the games industry and the people who work therein as industry observers making that art.
Industry observers making that art. I like it. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for that.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Let's get out of here.
Oh, we're getting you back soon.
Oh, definitely. Like multiple times throughout the year. Like 100%. I don't really have anything to say. Like, again, this is a weird episode that's coming out in a weird time. So say bye, everybody. Let's get out of here. Let's go play some games.
Bye.